Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to talk about spaced reconstruction in fast piano progress. And in general, this is the idea of if you use a given strategy to enable yourself to play a section that would have otherwise been impossible, like you do step one, step two, step three, now you can play something that you wouldn't have been able to play otherwise. It may be tempting to now just play that section and not use any kind of special strategy again, because you can already play this, right? But if you get to day 3, day 6, day 10, etc., it would be definitely in your best interest to essentially do step 1, step 2, step 3 of that great strategy used in the first place, or some variation of those steps in order that you keep a deeper level of learning. And I'll go more into some of the specifics of why you might want to do that. And in general, in these videos, I hope that through strategy, I'll be able to teach some of you how to get stronger short-term and long-term benefits from thinking and practicing in this particular way, rather than some other advice out there that maybe will only help you in the short term or at a more surfacey level. So last time, or in a recent video, I talked about I used Moon River as some of the examples. I think I'll use that again today in a moment. And well, maybe we'll just get right into it. So let's say, for instance, that we have, an 8 measure set here, which is 8 measures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus the next vertical as well. And before this, maybe the student had been able to do 4 measure sets, right? That student was able to play like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 measures plus the following vertical. So that student was able to play from there to there perfectly smoothly. And they were able to play from here to over here of another 4 measure set, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus the following vertical, right? So recently, what they had done was link those 2 4 measure sets together. So now the student was able to play all the way from there to there. And to achieve this, we may have used some type of adding in reverse strategy. Maybe he played perfectly like from there to there. Let's just do kind of like a simple example. Maybe then from here to here. It could be that we do from here to there or something. And then we tried the entire thing, right? And then this was successful. Now, in terms of that recent video, the alternation, cycling, it's possible we could have gone back to this blue many times. I'm sure there could have been other colors where we practiced sections in the middle. But in any case, it may not have been as straightforward as these 4 steps, right? It might have been blue and then the yellow and then back to the blue. And then maybe we did just that, then the blue. Then we tried the purple, but we messed up the end. So then we did just the blue again. Then we tried the purple again. Then we did some of the green, right? So it's not always so straight ahead, like exactly what you do. But once you start to learn some of the principles, you start to realize, there can be some more complexity to it. But in any case, when we're doing this, in terms of the alternation and cycling I talked about in a recent video, it's also keeping things fresh in our short-term memory. We're keeping things fresh in our muscle memory. Like, we just did this, so it's more likely that we can then do this. And so eventually we get this result of an 8 measure set. Now, in this video, I'm not going to talk too much about expansion. I've talked about this in some other videos, which is when you go from 1 measure sets into 2s or 2 measure sets into 4s and so on. I'm just going to talk generally about reconstructing, which is like, let's say that a few days go by and we play this, and let's say that we're performing the piece each day, and it's going perfectly pretty much each time, right? It's sticking well. Maybe like day 1, it's good. Day 2, it's good. Then day 3, we have some kind of like little like mess up over here, right? It may be tempting to essentially just play the purple, to just abandon all those special strategies that I've talked about. Like, we're like, well, I already did this. I was a good student. Like, I did the adding in reverse. I understand how the brain works and how the learning science works. And, I'm also practicing this piece every day. So surely it couldn't hurt to just try this, and right, because I messed up here. I know maybe I'll do that. Then I'll play. I messed up there. Play again. Messed up there. Okay, and then I did the whole thing, and then I'll keep going. I found that this will produce problems in students over time, because even though they had already gone through all this trouble and, they did adding in reverse, they did cycling, alternation, and all of this, by not adding in reverse again, they're still setting themselves up for weak points over here, believe it or not, right? Because what was it that they did? They played, they messed up here, they played, they messed up, and then they were able to play through the whole thing. But a lot of this, it could just be muscle memory. They're not spending the cognitive effort to reread the notes here, to reread this part. Because now there's even more, I don't know why that happened. Now there's even more resistance than before, because it's like you've already taken the time to solve this section, so to speak, right? Why would I have to go through those steps all over again? But again, that cognitive effort, according to the learning research, is what it is that we're looking for. This is how you'll get better. Like, this is why memorizing is also not the enemy of reading music. If you're practicing correctly, if you encounter some kind of issue, you should be rereading the music, like just that part at the end, just the 2-measure set, just the 4-measure set. It'll take more effort, and you might have to fight with yourself a little bit, but you'll have to just read, that B and that F and so on all over again. You'll become much better at starting from anywhere in the music, and you won't just be relying on muscle memory from the beginning. So it's a different danger than when you first learn the piece. And there's other aspects that I could talk about in the future as well too. When you first learn, the danger is often that the coordination won't even come together in the first place, right? If you don't add in reverse, you literally won't even be able to play all the way through to the end. Now the danger is not so, like, that student probably, they will be able to just play all the way through to the end. If they don't use really any strategy, they just do it over and over again, and then they'll get it probably not too long from now. But the danger is that they won't know the ending that well. They haven't practiced the note reading, they haven't practiced starting from different areas. That would have forced them to observe those specific notes, those specific areas. That would have formed new associations. It would have reconsolidated the memory. And so even if they play it perfectly, it may set them up to have future memory problems, honestly. Part of the interesting thing also is that not only will you get better at note reading, you'll get better at strategy, problem solving, and so on. I'm confident your actual awareness will be improved. You might have seen some videos I've made about mental practice. So what's interesting is, let's say that, or one thing that's interesting is, let's say that you're practicing a 1-measure set, right? 1 measure plus the following beat as a beginner. In the beginning, they may just play from the beginning over and over again and keep messing up at the end, right? Once I teach them adding in reverse, then they become a little smarter. Then they start to think like, oh, wait a second, I've seen this pattern before. I'm not going to just mindlessly play from the beginning. I'll practice just the last quarter measure set, the last half measure set, maybe the last 3/4 measure set, then the whole thing. Maybe I'll go back to the last quarter, then the whole thing, right? So they become better at that type of strategy, but still later than this, it may not even be necessary for them to physically do it. They just mentally go through the steps, right? They just pay attention to the last quarter of the measure or the last half. They're like, okay, the last quarter is the last half. Then they try the measure and they may play it correctly on the first go, just because they understand what to pay attention to now. Their actual awareness has been heightened. So that's also the sort of thing that can happen if you go through this spaced, I'm just calling it reconstruction. Honestly, I'm just making up some of these terms as I go along, but I like to call it reconstruction because it is like building something, right? Initially, you were building, when you're adding in reverse, you're building these sections, you're building a strong foundation at the end, actually, and then this whole structure comes together, you're able to play that. Well, we want to continuously reconstruct to go along those avenues and channels in the brain again, to reconsolidate the memories so that we can form new connections and new associations. And this will also make the brain more flexible, and we'll be able to add, hopefully, new musical layers on top of that, because in general, at least our baseline coordination is at a different level of solidity. So yeah, hope that that's helpful. Please like and subscribe if you did find it helpful or interesting. Tell others about the channel, and let me know if you have any questions. So yeah, looking forward to the next one.